Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alan Fanatic, and today we're taking a look at Empires Starfury, a space opera action RPG by Malfador Machinations. Without any further ado, let's dive in. A spin-off of the 4X Space Empire series, in Starfury, you'll take on the role of a starship captain, tasked with investigating increased pirate activity not far from human-controlled space. You can opt to follow the game's campaign, or ignore it entirely. Either way, you'll need to fend off hostile ships, trade goods, take on missions of various sorts, and upgrade your systems if you're to survive. You'll start off with a Terran Destroyer Mark I, one of the weakest vessels in the game, and its equipment will be rather lacking as well. But you can get new parts for your ship both as salvage from defeating enemies, or by trading at space docks. Every part has its own level, and you can find parts up to one level higher than your current character level. There's a wide variety of different parts you can buy to enhance your ship, including armor and shields to better protect more critical systems, weapons to damage your foes, sensors to lock on to enemies at a distance, jamming devices to make it harder to hit you, engines to boost your speed, or even hangars from which to launch fighter craft. The catch being that your speedy little destroyer can only hold up to 350 kilotons of systems, which is quite limiting. Eventually, you'll want to upgrade to larger vessels, which are slower, but can become more powerful with additional weapons and defenses. The largest of these can support up to 1600 kilotons, allowing for a much hardier and more lethal starship. Movement admittedly doesn't feel very Starship-like. If your engines are damaged, you'll stop immediately rather than continuing at your current velocity, which can be quite annoying as some enemies will have weapons which simply weaken your engines, and the only way to move thereafter is to wait for them to be repaired. Combat is otherwise pretty simplistic. Once in range, you can fire your weapons at an enemy. Light weapons include laser beams, which, once fired, will remain locked on until they expend their charge. Light projectiles simply travel onward to their target and hit for a single burst of damage. Missile weapons are the most powerful, but are also relatively slow. They can be outrun or shot down by point defense weaponry. You can equip and use point defense guns of your own, which will automatically fire whenever an enemy starfighter or missile is within range, albeit with accuracy that is definitely more miss than hit. You can also use items that give you a one-time boost to energy, recharge shields, or repair damaged systems or armor. You just click to use them and then they're expended. They're usually not worth the cost to buy, but if you come across them as spoils of war, they're not completely useless. Travel between star systems is done through wormholes, which will always connect two adjoining systems. Different systems are controlled by different political entities, or can be neutral or pirate dens. Although you can encounter ships of any faction in any system, you're much more likely to see ships that are part of a given faction or their allies within their own regions. In addition to story-critical missions, you'll also be able to take on random jobs to gain extra money and experience. Mercenary guilds will have you either hunting down enemy ships or protecting an escort. Good luck with the latter, as there is absolutely no way to give them commands and they just wander around aimlessly. You can also find missions to scan certain planets, though these tend not to pay nearly as much. At commerce guilds, you'll simply need to ferry goods from one planet to another. Pirate guilds pay more, but will require you to take on illegal cargo, which will cause all ships to treat you as an enemy so long as you hold on to it. Upon gaining enough experience, you'll be able to level up, which gives you a few stat points with which to increase the efficiency with which you command your crew. Presentation-wise, the game is lacking at best. Even for the time it was released, visuals are just not its strong point. Ship variety is quite limited, and there's no visual customization to speak of. Also, I sure hope you're not expecting things to be to scale, as planets with millions or even billions of inhabitants are presented at the same size as ships that are measured in kilotons. Story-wise, things are just as simplistic. It's a very straightforward plot about investigating pirates and the alien artifacts they're collecting, with only one very predictable bump in the plot and no real characters to speak of. All in all, Starfury is one of those games where the nostalgia was definitely better than actually replaying it. I originally played it on GameTap and I had fond memories of it. Unfortunately, those memories just don't hold up. It's a low-budget game, and frankly, it feels kinda low effort as well. The AI is dumb as rocks, and battles feel more like a war of attrition than anything particularly interesting. Especially when you're assaulting space stations, an obvious solution is to simply use hit-and-run tactics. There's also the fact that there's a number of stats which are clearly supposed to be in the game, but simply are not implemented, specifically different types of resistances to certain kinds of weapons. Missions make it feel like they were trying to invoke the feeling of something like Elite or Wing Commander Privateer, but combat feels almost as archaic as the former and far weaker than the latter. The gameplay loop is okay, but it quickly grows stale, especially if you're hoping for an interesting story, something the aforementioned Wing Commander games certainly excelled at. I really want to like this game, as RPGs where you take command of a starship seem like a woefully underutilized concept, but it's hard to recommend this one. Just pick up Endless Sky instead. It's a very similar concept and it's completely free. But as for Space Empires Starfury, I find I must give it a lacking 5.6 out of 10.
Space Empires Starfury is currently available for PC via Steam. Strangely enough, it's not currently available on GOG. Regardless, if you're interested in purchasing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Space Empires Starfury? What sci-fi RPGs do you enjoy? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.